Hello and welcome back to the channel. First of all, I just wanted to say Merry Christmas to everybody who's viewing. We greatly appreciate your time and attention. Have a fantastic holiday break in this upcoming week if you're taking any days off. We know the market is closed on Friday, but besides that, it is a regular trading week. That being said, we do know a lot of institutional investors are out of their offices, and there's not going to be a whole lot of exciting moves most likely in this week. Regardless, Merry Christmas, and let's get into this week's market forecast. So, in this market forecast, as always, we're going to cover the main fundamental drivers in this upcoming week, companies with earnings this upcoming week, and the best technical setups that we are currently keeping an eye on. So, in terms of news, there is no fundamental drivers in this upcoming week. But, as you can see here on screen, here are all of the companies that have earnings from December 20th to December 24th, and on the day, and if they're before or after close. So, to start off this week's technical setups, let's get started on Bitcoin. The Bitcoin chart is really interesting to me right now, especially due to the fact that we are still technically valid on this bump and run. It seems like it's going to invalidate, but it yet has not. So what we're looking at right now is this resistance line that we have drawn, and more accurately, something that I am utilizing very, very often is trendline zones. I find the trendline zones actually do work better than regular trend lines, just due to the fact that they don't allow as many fake outs. You miss a lot of fake outs if you're using these zones, and I draw them just by connecting highs in a zone fashion rather than in just a line, because we know nothing in trading is really just a line in the sand. Regardless, we have found a low here on this support line and turned it into a very important support for the time being. We have also started to form a resistance line on the top, forming this downward trending wedge. So my expectation is we're going to break out to the upside of this wedge and then see some continued upside in Bitcoin. But please wait for confirmation. Ethereum. I wish I could tell you something different about Ethereum, but it's doing the same thing we saw before. Waiting in this support fractal now. I do think the price of Ethereum is going to appreciate in the near future, and I do not think we're going to find a low below 3630, just about. If we break below this, we'll have to reanalyze our wave counts, but until then, this is bullish. SPY, we always need to cover SPY. Right now on SPY, we are obviously at some important support. We recently broke out of a wedge on a lower time frame. But now we're just looking at this support fractal here at the bottom of this gap that we had on the 7th of December. And we're looking to see what we do here. There's a support line that we have drawn here. Again, we could more accurately draw that as a support zone. But for the time being, you understand what its purpose is. So with this, we are now looking to see, hopefully, that we can find some support here, obviously, in SPY, and then we can continue to move up. We just have this resistance level before we get to all-time highs, but we need to be very, very careful of that resistance level because we just bounced off on Friday. Looking at Netflix, not too much to say on Netflix besides the fact that we are moving very, very slowly towards our final take profit at 574. Apple, as we know, we covered Apple last week. I think this thing's coming lower, and we did come a little bit lower in this week, but we found some support at this prior resistance level, so we need to now break through this support in order to see continued downside. Riot is very, very important to look at right now because we just broke out of a bearish continuation pattern, a channel which would lead to the downside, right? We broke the support of that channel as well. But regardless, the reason that is very important to look at Riot right now is because we are on major support. So although we just broke support, we still do have support in the way for us to move lower. So hopefully we can find a low here on Riot and move higher. Looking at PayPal. So PayPal, I believe we touched on this last week, finished a ABC corrective pattern in the form of a zigzag. That being said, we also did hit the 38.2 retracement of this prior wave, this whole thing over here. And that is a high probability area of reversal, as we know from studying Fibonacci and LE wave theory. So now what I'm looking for is a little bit more confluence before we can very confidently say that we're going to move higher. But my bias is bullish on PayPal. Delta Airlines, we touched on this last week for you guys, and we actually did come up a little bit. That being said, we slowly trickled out, moved lower, found our way down to the 61.8 retracement of this wave. We then had a very engulfing candlestick right here on the 17th at 9:30. And now we just came back a little bit below that. That being said, I think we're going to move higher off of this because we did get a bullish pattern that signaled our entry, and now we are just waiting for wave 3 to take us higher. I do have a good bit of confidence in Delta, but again, our stop loss can go below this prior low at 53.50. AMD is on very important support right now. This led to a great play last week off of the 61.8 area of this zone. We played a breakout of this resistance line. But regardless, we are now on support after bouncing off of this resistance. And, we could consolidate for a bit longer, but again, we do want to see some bullish momentum in AMD and hopefully break this resistance fractal that we've been respecting ever since the 23rd of November. Tesla hit take profit on Friday of last week, so congratulations to anybody holding Tesla. Fantastic trade all around. We really caught this from really up here. Actually, scratch that. We caught it from the prior high that we called exactly right here at 1236. But, there is a solid chance we do see some lower prices in Tesla. But if we break out of this resistance line, then I am confident that we will head higher in the sooner rather than later. Uber, I really like the look of. We were obviously in this downward trending channel on the daily chart, as you can see, but we bounced off of the support line on this as we talked about last week actually, and we played a breakout of 2 resistance lines on the lower time frame. We did catch a trade on this on Tuesday, I believe, or Wednesday, and we got a breakout through that resistance. So my bias on Uber is obviously going to remain bullish. I think Uber looks fantastic right now. I saw some talk last week about GameStop potentially going to the upside, and I just wanted to touch on that because we need to wait for confirmation. We did get a lower time frame inverse head and shoulders that did activate, but that being said, we are right at resistance, right? We had this support that is now acting resistance. So do not rush into GameStop, please, because we could see a bounce from this level. But if we break this, then yes, there is a potential that we move higher because we bounced off of this lower support zone and we have a bearish reversal pattern to take us to the upside. And the chart given to me by somebody in my stream this weekend is Corsair. So Corsair looks pretty good. We got a very, very nice bounce off of a fib cluster right here, which was actually 3 levels, all of which were the 127.2. From wave A, from the first wave in wave B, and also from the first wave in wave A. That being said, it looks like we could get some reversal here. We got to break out of a resistance line, and also it looks like we may be forming an inverse head and shoulders. But again, we need to wait for confirmation. If we get the breakout of this higher time frame resistance line up here at around 2380, then I will have a lot of confidence in Corsair going higher. Thank you so much, as always, for watching the video and this week's market forecast. If you are not already subscribed, be sure to do so below. As always, on behalf of everyone at OBR and myself, Merry Christmas and happy trading.